Hi everybody, and welcome to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. In this video, you'll find a post from Relationship Advice with an update and one from Malicious Compliance. So if you want to go ahead and get started with the stories, just use the timestamps below the video. I'd also like to give a big shout out to all my supporters and the new members that have been coming in. It makes a huge difference and it really means a lot to me, so thank you very much. Now, let's get started with that first story. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice, and it's from user Deleted. I, 37 male, found out my girlfriend, 25 female, cheated on me with my son, 20 male, and I want to cut them both off, but they're begging me to forgive them both? I was a young dad. My now late wife and I had my son before we were even 17. She sadly died suddenly at 22, not long after we got married, and I've been a single dad since. It's been tough, but I think up until this, I did my best. I haven't had time to have any relationships really up until I met her. I threw myself into being a dad and concentrating on my business. I'm not saying I've been a monk, just not had anything serious. Never anyone serious enough to introduce my son to. But just under 3 years ago, I met AJ. I wasn't expecting it, but before long, I was head over heels. The first 6 months or so were more casual, but when we realized we loved each other, we made it official. I was even planning to ask her to marry me next month on her 26th birthday. I was even going to ask my son to be my best man. I didn't introduce them at first due to not being sure how he'd take it, so we waited a while. But after they met last year, we've all hung out and everything was all good. Granted, this year they haven't seen each other much due to lockdown and him being at uni, but I didn't think anything of that. I couldn't see her much this last month due to lockdown again. However, I've noticed, as the past couple of weeks have gone on, she's been quiet and moody. I've asked her and she put it down to being overwhelmed. Likewise, I have noticed it in my son being a bit withdrawn, but I assumed he's been busy with uni. When I finally saw her again this weekend, I really noticed, so I called her out on it. She broke down and admitted she cheated on me, just like that. I was shocked, so I was trying to get it out of her, and she admitted it was with my son. Just before lockdown started in November, she was out with her mates and she bumped into my son in the pub. They got pissed, shared a taxi, and ended up drunken effing. I basically threw her out there and then, saying I never want to see her again. She was begging me, pleading and making a scene and everything. I then asked my son to come over and I confronted him. He admitted it's true. It's a huge mistake and is begging me to forgive him. I've told him he needs to stay at someone's house and don't want to look at him anymore. He's at my mom's. I haven't told her what he did, but she knows it's serious seeing as how close we have always been. She's been ringing me, sending me emails, texting and begging for another chance, and so has my son. I've picked up her stuff that she left here and left it in her front garden in a bin bag. I even chucked her Christmas presents I've got her too. Let her enjoy them early. I'm absolutely distraught. They are the two people I loved most in the world. I wanted to marry her, maybe have kids, spend my life with her. Likewise, he was more than my son. He was my best friend. I sacrificed so much for him to giving an amazing life. And they both stabbed me in the back in the worst way. I don't think I'll ever forgive them ever again. They're welcome to each other as far as I'm concerned. I feel so hurt. Et tu, Brute? I am so sorry, OP. You did suffer one of the worst betrayals you can get. I mean, cheating is a huge betrayal, but with your son, that's just gotta hurt too much, man. I'm so sorry you're going through this. Regarding your ex-girlfriend, yeah, good riddance, she's out. But what I see the bigger issue with here is your son. I am so sorry, I don't have anything that I could say that could help you out. No advice on this one because it is a very complex situation and I just can't put myself in your position. I see there's two ways this can play out. One would be that you go absolutely no contact with your son and just erase him from your life, which would absolutely be sad, And the other one is that you just take time and space to heal, to build yourself back together. And in time, maybe you can try to rebuild some sort of relationship with your son. But the only stopping stone that I see on this one is, how do you rebuild the trust? So on that, I turn to you. What do you think OP should do? What would your advice be? Let me know in the comment section. And now let's move on to the community comments to see what they said to OP. Lanutria265 says, I'm so sorry you have to live this. I really am. 1. Cut her off. She is not worthy of you. You sound like a really good man that anyone will be happy to spend the rest of her life with. 2. I know you can't forgive your son, and you don't have to. You can tell him that even when he is still your son and you love him, he broke your trust, and your relationship from now on is gonna be different. You are his father, but no longer his friend. And you will be there, but at the moment, with the less contact possible. He has to find his own place and work. 3. Please go to counseling. It's gonna be good for you. And 4. Talk to someone you are close with. Let your feelings out of your chest. Don't get drunk, eat healthy, and drink water. Sending you a hug. MTF Face says, get rid of girlfriend, stop supporting son. Tell grandma too, and let the little crap support himself. In a few years, I'm sure you'll want a relationship with your son, but you don't have to right now. He's an adult who made an adult choice and should have to live with the adult consequences. Deleted says, definitely break up with the girlfriend, then date someone your age, not someone your son's age. OP's edit. I forgot to add, I've got myself booked in at the Clap Clinic. If I can't trust her to not cheat on me once, who knows how many times she's done it. Is there any more to do here, Reddit? Or is that the best course of action? Cut them off and move on? Further edit. God, I miss my wife tonight. She should have been the one and only woman for me. They'll never make them like her again. Well, the community has definitely given OP better advice than I could have ever had. So that first commenter, I think with those 4 points, really hit the nail on the head, and hopefully OP is going to listen and he can rebuild himself and move forward, but he does need help. Now, OP has given us an extensive update as to what happened after all of this, so let's continue with that and see what's going on. I wasn't planning to originally do an update because of so many abusive comments and texts received last time, but on the other hand, I had so much support, I thought I'd update those who have been supportive. So I basically met up with AJ, my ex. I asked her for the truth, what went on, and was there anything else going on previously? She was really passionately saying no. It literally was a case of her having a drink with her mates and my son was in the pub and they got drunk together. When they were sharing a taxi, he admitted he liked her, made a pass, and that was it. She was saying things like she'd never ever do it normally, but because she hadn't seen me for a while and he reminded her of me so much that night, it just happened. I told her to stop blaming the booze or anyone else and she needs to own it. No one else. I also was honest with her that she's the first person I've let in, loved since my ex-wife died, and I've been happier with her in the past 3 years than I was for years before that. I told her I was even going to propose to her. She broke down, telling me again how sorry she is and asking me for another chance and that she'll never forgive herself. I told her she needs to one day so she can learn from this. But that's it for us. I'm blocking her number, email, and I don't want any contact again. And I left. I feel much better for meeting her. As devastated as I am, I do feel like that's a bit of closure. Simply to see that I don't really hate her, but actually pity her. Through not being able to control her alcohol or keep it in her pants. It's cost her a relationship with someone she cares about and likely will affect her relationships for years to come. Not that I don't think she's any less responsible or deserves the outcome. It also helped me to truly see how immature she is. Before this, I was blissfully ignorant because I was happy. Now, it's made me really conscious of it. Never again. Now, my son. I realized the other day when I made my post, I was very angry and the way I was typing it seemed like it was going to flat out disown him. But let me stress, he's my son, my flesh and blood, and I love him dearly. He's also my wife's son, and I could never just get rid of him for her. But he has let me down and really hurt me massively, and I have lost not just all respect, but trust in him. So I met him also and heard his side of the story. It was largely the same as hers, but the difference was he said she was being really flirty with him, and she said he really reminded her of me, and that's when he told her he had a crush and made his move. I told him what I wrote out above, that I love him but have no respect for him or can't trust him anymore. I also told him about my plans, that I was going to propose to her and even have him as my best man. He was gutted, just really silent, and started crying. I told him we need to have no contact for a while. He needs to get a job and not work with me at weekends like he does at the moment, and we need to talk to my folks to see if he can stay with them for a bit. But in order to do so, I want him to be a grown-up and tell them why to their face and deal with it as a grown-up. So I drove him there and made him tell them. They were devastated, not just upset, but the look in my mom's eye, I'll never get over that. She told him how disappointed she was in him and that she never thought he'd do something like this. I asked her if he can stay there for the foreseeable future, but not for free. He has to pay his own way. Proper board, contribute towards the bills, but his own food. She agreed out of respect for me. I also sat him down and shown him that I'd transfer over a large amount of money and explained that was the money I was saving for AJ's engagement ring. But seeing as what's happened, I want him to have that as a reminder and to use it to pay his grandparents' rent, if no else. He was absolutely stunned at that, trying to give it back to me. I told him if he does that, we definitely are done. We've agreed on no contact at least until Christmas, and then we all, me, him, and my folks, could spend Christmas together. I've been largely reflecting the past few days, mainly on me and why I went for AJ in the first place. I was extremely flattered when she asked me out, even though I'd never normally considered anyone that young. But in hindsight, she was the same age as my wife when she died, same ethnicity, mixed race, and also even did the same sort of job. So I guess I went for it because she was like my late wife, which honestly makes me really sad. I know I can't blame anyone else for that, but it makes me realize also that she, AJ, was only my second ever serious relationship in my life. Like, imagine that. A 37-year-old guy having that little relationship that a girl 5 years older than my son is a huge chunk of my relationship experience. It also makes me miss my wife massively. I've been just having a bit of me time the past few days, having an Alan Partridge marathon. That was mine and my wife's favorite thing to watch together. It helps me feel close to her when I'm down. Edit to add. I'm seeing if I can get in touch with my old therapist I was seeing after my wife died and making an appointment with him. I might see if he can take on my son too. Edit 2. A few people have pointed out we might not be able to see the same therapist due to a conflict of interest. I didn't think of that. So maybe I'll get a recommendation from him for someone else suitable. Thank you. I definitely need to work on myself before I ever date again. I think I have too many issues to be a good partner at the moment. And if or when I do, I'm not dating anyone her age again. I think I'll do a strictly 80s policy of only going for people born in the 80s and definitely not one born after 1989. Well, OP, even though of course you are still in pain and very hurt, it sounds like you are on the right track and making good choices. Of course, not everyone would do the same as you, but this is your life and you choose to do what you want with it. So on that note, I wish you all the best in the future, OP. Take care. And now we move on to the next post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance and it's by user Brostentatious. Work starts at 9. Not 9:15. Many years ago, I used to work as a web developer at a medical center where the types of people in the organization were, let's say, tenured. Many comfortable people who have been working there for 8+ years. Not the least of all was our manager, who had been there for 20+ years and fancied herself a dictator. I was the youngest there, followed by the other developer. Engineering was a team of 2, myself included. We had content creators, support people, designers, etc. But the engineering was just me and this other person. We'll call her Lucy. Lucy and I would show up around the same time every day between 9 and 9:30. No big deal, we thought, since we typically ate quick lunches at our desk and stayed longer after 5 to actually get some focus time in and get stuff done. Our manager typically showed up early around 7:30 or 8 and would leave the office at 3:30 or 4 to skip traffic. Now, at some point, our manager was on some sort of power trip and decided it was necessary to call a full team meeting to inform us that work starts at 9, not 9:15, not 9:30, but 9. Me, being a young smartass, decided to fight this tyranny and asked her, "What time does work end?" To which she very calmly stated, 5. So I asked how come she leaves at 4, and she explained that she shows up early and therefore gets to leave early. I was on autopilot because the next thing I said was, "But I thought work starts at 9, so how come you show up early?" She explained that she's made a special arrangements with the higher-ups and therefore she is exempt from the rule. So Lucy and I dropped it, but we decided to show up exactly at 9 every day, take a full hour for lunch and leave exactly at 5. Meetings all day and work due tomorrow? Sorry, but work ends at 5. Working on an issue where stopping halfway means it would take longer to pick it up tomorrow? Sorry, but work ends at 5. About a month of this and our backlog is piling up. Our clients are complaining and my manager is fuming at our reduced output. She sits us down and asks why this is happening. We calmly explain that with meetings and our lunch and work starting at 9 and ending at 5, there's just not enough time in the day to get stuff done. She dropped the policy the next day and instead issued a core hours policy of 10 to 3, where everyone is expected to be in the office then. Well, OP, congratulations, because your malicious compliance gave you core hours, which is a way better deal than what you had before. And it's that time that we've reached the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed today's stories. I certainly did reading them to you. So if you did, then go ahead and give the video a like, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel and become a member of our Discord community that just keeps growing and it is fantastic. And like I said in the beginning of the video, all of the relevant links are in the video description below, so be sure to check them out. And finally, I'd like to thank you all for taking the time to watch this video. It really does mean a lot to me that you guys enjoy this content, so thank you once again. And having said all that, I will see you guys in the next video.